Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Brains, Bumps and Belonging, the Wrestling and Neurodiversity podcast. It's been a while, I apologise for that. I will explain why that is in a second. I just want to take a moment to say thank you very much to Alfie Spencer for appearing in episode 6, the 2-part episode. It's really interesting to hear Alfie's story, to get to know him a bit better. He's a lovely guy. Those of you that know him already know that. Those of you that didn't know him before, I'm sure you'll agree. He's a great guy. Really inspiring story. So thank you very much to Alfie for appearing. I really appreciate it. So moving on to this episode, I posted something last night. I explained that I intended on putting this episode out a bit sooner, but I couldn't quite get the balance right. You know, I'm aware that some people watch this with their kids. I'm aware that some people that watch or listen to this have been the victims of bullying themselves. So I wanted to get the right balance and, not upset anybody and just not have 20 minutes of me being really angry and moaning about my experiences and other people's experiences and how awful it is. You know, it is awful, but I want to get into the detail of like how this thing comes about and how it can be avoided if possible. So I've had a few sort of rewrites of the episode. Because I want to get it right, I've got some notes with me today. I normally just start speaking and babbling on for 20 minutes and hope that it's okay. But today I've got some notes next to me. So if it looks like I'm reading parts of this, it's because I am, basically. So I want to start by talking about the word bullying. And bullying is sometimes dressed up as banter, tradition. And if I'm talking in a wrestling sense, people will say, well, it's just how the wrestling business is. But if the person on the other end of that feels isolated as a result, if they feel humiliated or sad or unsafe with what they're doing in their environment, then we need to be honest about what this really is. It's not banter, it's not character building, it is bullying. And unfortunately, I think most people have experienced bullying in some form during their life, whether that be at school, at work, in groups or clubs, or even in your family. It can go beyond what you consider banter. Now, wrestling in particular is very unique because it's all built around characters and confidence and crowd reaction and that interaction and standing out and being a different person. That's when it gets difficult because it can be really empowering, but it can also be something that makes you feel very vulnerable. If it doesn't go your way, if you don't get the right reaction from the crowd or from the people you're working with, you don't get the right opportunities, it should be a place where people can feel safe to be different, to bring out that character, to be who they want to be that larger than life character. But for some people, when that bullying creeps in, it can take away the thing that made them safe in the first place. Like in my earlier episodes, I talk about me starting getting into the wrestling business and how I felt safe because the environment they provided down at Quality Wrestling, everybody was really nice, really welcoming, really encouraging and gave me a lot of advice and tips. And that's what kept me coming back week after week because I had that network of support. And that's really important. But when it goes the other way, especially people that are neurodivergent and you no longer feel safe, like I said before, you tend to walk away because it's the easiest option. You stop doing what you love because you don't want to feel sad, you don't want to be hurt anymore. So it is the easy way out, and there's nothing wrong with that. And particularly for people with neurodiversities, I think bullying doesn't end when the comment's made or the action's finished. You know, you'll go home and you'll replay that conversation or that comment over and over in your head. If it's something that's been done online, you'll go back and read it and wonder if you're reading it the wrong way, if it was intended a different way. And that can be very difficult, especially with, social media everyone's got now. It's very easy to hide behind fake accounts and things like that. So there's not much control you have over that. But yeah, people with neurodiversities will replay it, and that can lead to anxiety before training or dreading going to a show because of a reaction you might get because of what somebody's told you. Somebody might have told you you're not a very good wrestler or your character's not very good. So you go to a show thinking, well, I'm going to be rubbish here because This person told me that I'm no good, so they must be right. So it's difficult. Like, if that stops that person doing what they love doing, it's not fair, is it? Like, everybody should be entitled to do what they love to do. And if a throwaway comment results in them leaving and not doing that, you need to consider the impact of these words. A good locker room, whether it's, say a locker room, I'm talking about wrestling, of course, but it can be anything, can't it? It can be any sort of sport, any sort of joint activity you do with other people. It can even be at school. I say locker room, it could quite easily be a classroom. So a good, positive locker room builds people up. You can have jokes, you can have energy, it can be chaotic, it can be mad, especially with wrestling. You've got these different characters, everybody's different, and you're clashing like this. But fundamentally, in a good locker room, there's that respect, that baseline respect of, you can have a joke with people, but you know that you respect them as a person, as an individual. You respect their character. You're keen to work with them. You want to build them up and put them over. You're happy for their success. And you pick them up after their failures. We see in wrestling things go wrong all the time. Doesn't matter what level you're at. My favourite wrestler, Seth Rollins, he made a mistake in his match against Bron Breakker at Backlash the other day. Is he going to be remembered for that? No, of course not. He's going to be remembered as one of the best wrestlers of his generation. Most people would agree with that. But yeah, it's about building that person up so they've got the confidence to carry on and move on to the next one and improve, get better and be successful down the line. So that's what a good locker room does. A bad locker room makes people feel like they have to earn even basic respect or dignity, that you're coming in, that you have to prove yourself, that you have to fit in with a certain culture, you have to act how others act rather than being an individual. And that's simply not true. You don't have to do that. And if they don't like that, then it's the wrong place for you. If you can't go somewhere, whether that's wrestling or anywhere else, if it's at school, if it's a school club, if it's something you do outside of school or work, if you can't be yourself at that club, either walk away if that's the easy option for you, if you don't feel you have the strength, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, or you can work to change it. You can work to change that culture by having conversations. And you don't have to be disrespectful or rude back. You don't have to shout. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. I'm quite fortunate. I've reached the age of 40 and I've got to the point where I'm quite happy to tell people what I think. If I'm not happy with something, I'll say why I'm not happy. I'll always come up with solutions. I'll say, I don't like this. I'm not happy with this. I think we should do this. It would be better if we did this. In my experience, this works better. But not everybody's like that. And again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you need to find the people that will speak up for you. I'm happy to speak up for anybody that feels that way. Always have done, always will do. It's not a problem. If you're working with me, whether that's at work, at wrestling, anywhere else, and you're feeling belittled, you're feeling unsafe, you're feeling sad because of what you're experiencing directly or what you're seeing or hearing indirectly, I'm happy for you to come to me and I'll speak on your behalf. I know CM Punk calls himself the voice of the voiceless, but what he means by that is he's the spokesperson for a group of people within his community. And I know he's playing a character, but it's an important message to have somebody there that will speak up for you. And there's lots of people, don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be me, there's lots of people that will do that. There's lots of people that will stand up for the truth, that will stand up for honesty and decency. And they're really good people to have around because they can speak up on your behalf, they can try and affect change for you. And it's about trying to change that culture if it needs changing, or maintaining a good culture if there's already a good culture there. I'm fortunate enough to be involved in Quality Wrestling and Venom Championship Wrestling. Both got a brilliant culture. Really, really pleased to be involved in those companies. And the things that have happened are very minimal within those companies, I think. It does happen, it goes on anywhere. The odd comment, the odd feedback that's given that's misplaced or misjudged. It does happen. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't appreciate that type of feedback, or thanks very much, but I'm going to do this my way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm very fortunate that what I've experienced personally, I haven't had too much of that. However, what I've seen recently, and I think this is why this part of the reason why this episode was suggested to me, that I should cover the topic of bullying, is because recently there's been lots online of people making up fake accounts, commenting on wrestlers who are my friends' posts, whether it's be their videos, their adverts for shows, just putting them down, being downright derogatory, making really cruel personal comments about their ability, about their appearance. And these things aren't feedback. These things aren't things that have been asked by the wrestlers. Oh, what do you think of this? You've got a wrestler who's doing their very best to build their character up, to do something they love, and to share that with you. You know, that's a privilege for you, for them to share that with you. If you're not interested in that, don't follow it. But these people are going on, they're creating fake accounts, fake names, no profile pictures, with the sole intent of putting certain people down. And I've spoken about these people before. These are my friends. These are really good people that don't deserve this. You know, you see all these so-called celebrities online that spout hate and nonsense and all this hate speech, and they get people firing back at them. And you can kind of understand it because what they're saying is so outrageous. But these people who are my friends, you know, they've never said a bad word about anybody. They don't get involved in arguments. They don't get involved in gossip or nonsense. They're just working really, really hard day in, day out to improve themselves and to do the best they can. And these people, these cowards that are going online making personal comments about them, they're bullies. I don't understand what they're getting out of it. The sole intention is to hurt that person, is to put them down. And congratulations, because it's worked. Because I've spoken to these people and they are hurt by it. They're constantly considering if this is for them, if they want to carry on. And what right have you got to do that? To go online and make these comments about people because you haven't got the guts to do it on your own account, in your own person. And this is the problem with things like wrestling. There's no sort of governing body looking after this. If this was in a workplace, if you're at work and there's people making these comments about you, you'd be first in HR's office explaining yourself. You'd be out of a job because bullying's not tolerated in a workplace. Certain workplaces could do better, definitely. But because there's no recourse, there's no comeuppance to these people, they're just going to carry on doing it unless somebody speaks out, unless somebody keeps reporting these things. And we try not to let it affect us. And I think as well as these like online anonymous comments, I've heard about group chats at other wrestling promotions, slagging off people from other promotions, slagging off the promotions themselves, saying that they're not very good, the talent's not very good. I think, what are you getting out of that? Just worry about yourself. You've got your own promotion, you're doing your own thing. Congratulations, I wish you every success. Go and do that and leave other people alone. Let them do their thing. I've talked about how you measure success in wrestling previously, about whether it's how many titles you've won, whether it's you get booed, whether you get cheered, how much money you're making from wrestling. And everybody will have their different view, their own opinion on what success looks like in wrestling. But if somebody's built up their own wrestling promotion from scratch and they've got 20 plus people on their roster who are all very happy to work there, will do anything for that company, they're making money, they're selling out shows, they're competing against other shows in the same weekend, and other shows are having to cancel their own shows because of poor ticket sales, and you're trying to find extra chairs because you sold so many tickets. That's success. You've done a brilliant job there. So why have you got people from a different promotion slagging you off in a group chat? And I'm aware of the group chats. I know exactly who it is. I'm not going to mention them on here. I don't need to. I don't give these people a second thought because I don't need to. I don't get involved with them. They don't get involved with me. But I've seen the chats. I've seen the messages. You know who you are. Just don't do it. Worry about yourselves. The only reason you'd be slagging people off and talking like that is because you feel threatened by them. That's all it is. What other reason could there be? You're not benefiting from it, from slagging off another promotion, from slagging off other individuals. It's because you feel threatened by their success. That is it. So carry on hating, because these companies are going to go from strength to strength. They're not going anywhere. They've got strong leaders. They've got a good culture. They've got a great locker room. And that's what it's all about. So carry on hating. You know, we're going to keep going. We love it. We love these shows. We've got another show coming up soon. If you love those shows, great, come along. If you don't, there's plenty of other promotions elsewhere, really, really good ones. I've got friends in other promotions and I wish them every success. Of course I do. That's it. That's my message on that. That's the last time I'm going to moan on this episode. If I can go back to bullying in general, like if you are being bullied or if you have been bullied, just remember it's not your fault. It's not because you're too sensitive or you can't take a joke. You are allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to have these feelings of, I don't like that. And you're allowed to express that. That doesn't make you argumentative. That doesn't make you the aggressor. That means that you've got those boundaries. You're willing to take a certain amount up until a point, and then it's enough. And people need to know those boundaries. If they know those boundaries and then still go beyond them, then you've got every right to challenge them on that, haven't you? You're allowed to say it's not okay. You're allowed to say, I don't like that. You're allowed to walk away. That is not a problem. And most people don't like to think of themselves as bullies. Some people are brought into a certain culture and are expected to abide by that culture and to fit into it. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long. That's how it's sold. You fit into this culture, you fit into what we've got going on down here, or you find somewhere else. And I understand that, and people can often fall into that culture of bullying. It is bullying. But the banter culture, the taking the mickey out of the new person, expecting them to prove themselves. I remember Miz talking about when he first got to WWE and he was kicked out of the locker room and he spent years trying to get back into it. Those days, they need to be gone. I don't know if they are professionally. I'd imagine there's still an element of that. But the world has changed, the world has evolved. These things aren't appropriate anymore. So like this tough love culture that was around when I was growing up in like the 80s and 90s and probably even before that, of like you're bullied by your trainers, you're trained a certain way, they train you into the ground to see if you make it. You either make you or break you. That culture's changed, and fortunately, for the most part, trainers will teach you with respect. They will teach you with love and kindness and patience. So we're going in the right direction. I don't think we're fully there. But I guess my message today is there is no place of bullying. It's obvious, I know. I shouldn't need to say it. There's no place of bullying in wrestling or anywhere else. If you don't have the confidence, if you don't have the voice to speak up, find someone that will. Find someone that will speak up on your behalf. If you're a child at school, find the teacher that you trust. Go to your friend that's the loudmouth. There's nothing wrong with that. Getting them to speak up on your behalf. Speak to a teacher. Don't keep it bottled up. Don't keep it inside. The real strength and confidence is speaking up about it and telling someone. Doesn't matter who it is, just tell someone that can try and affect that change for you. If you're an adult, you are not expected to deal with bullying just because you're an adult. Bullying is not just about being a child. Bullying happens every single day in every single workplace. Again, you can speak up for yourself. You can find somebody else to speak up on your behalf. It's only when we change the actual culture that we get individuals to change as well. If you change one individual, but the culture's still the same, it's not going to change anything. So we all need to have these conversations. We all need to talk about bullying as a subject. And unfortunately, it has reared its ugly head in the last couple of weeks online within wrestling. And just to see the amount of people rallying behind those individuals that are being bullied with these comments online, but remain professional as well, not becoming a bully themselves. It was really refreshing. It's really nice to see. I hope that continues until we rid wrestling, until we rid other places of bullying, of these comments, of these stupid idiots who feel that it's appropriate just to go on and make comments about someone just to put them down, to make themselves feel better. It's not okay. It can't carry on. Cruelty is not character building. Banter without consent is bullying. And remember, a strong locker room, whatever your locker room looks like, will always protect the quietest person. So come and speak to us, reach out, speak to me, speak to others, speak to your friends. And we need to try and get rid of this once and for all. It's a big topic. I get that. I've generalised quite a lot. I just wanted to get a message out there to people that actually there are people out there to support you. We are your friends. We are your allies. And if this reaches one person that feels sad or, is going through bullying and now got the power to, or the confidence to speak up, whether that's directly or indirectly, then I've done my job today. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. As always, any comments, any suggestions, let me know. Thank you for continuing to watch and to listen and to share this. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody gave a little